Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Happy hump day. I am here a little bit earlier today because I have a board meeting to go to right after this. So I need to be here a little bit earlier. And um, yeah, before we begin, before we jump into this, first of all, y'all, if you are in the San Francisco Bay Area or anywhere close, it is burning up outside today. I am like pleasantly surprised that it's so hot, and I am drinking a coffee at 4 o'clock because it's going to keep me up, and because I had the taste for it. So yeah, I make my own coffee at home. But anyway, um, before I begin, I wanted to let you all know that I am hosting a master class on next Wednesday, so 7 days from now, next Wednesday, November 5th. And I am going to be talking about how to future proof your career, how to actually just navigate the changes and still be a strong leader, still show up well, even in the midst of AI, layoffs, recession fears, all of these things. Y'all, the headlines are wild right now. Like there's so much about layoffs happening right now. And I definitely don't want to downplay the fear, the instability, the or instability, the just uncertainty that's happening right now. But I do want to equip you with the tools, with the information that will help you navigate through it, regardless of what's happening. I think the most powerful thing we can do is show up as leaders because leadership solves all the world's problems. Did y'all know that? Leadership literally solves all the world's problems. Why? Because you have to lead everything, every facet of your life, whether it's your finances, your relationships, your home life, your school life, your career. Um, you have to lead in all of it, right? You have to lead in your health, all of the things, right? Because leadership starts from a choice. It starts from a decision that we make about how we want to be in the world. And um, so I want to be here with you. I want to help you navigate through that and just learn different techniques that's really going to help you to be the leader that you truly, truly want to be. Okay. So take a moment. If you are on LinkedIn, it's on this side. This is the QR code to scan to register for the masterclass. Y'all, it's free. I'm giving a lot of goodies, a lot of information, and you register, right? Nobody will know you're here. Nobody will know. So go ahead and register. If you're on Instagram, it's on this side. I realize that Instagram mirrors it the opposite way. YouTube, I don't know. It could be on either side. So whatever. It's at the top of my screen, right? And I want you to register um, for this masterclass. All right. So let's get into it. For those who don't know me, my name is Tashina, and I'm an executive leadership and team coach. I help teams and the leaders who actually lead them collaborate better, heal from conflict, and get shit done because they have been able to build systems that actually work without a bunch of drama, right? I call myself the coach who helps teams heal. And so I am all about that all the time, which means that I'm most of the time being brought in after teams have had really hard things going or at the formation stage of teams. However, I deal with strategy, I deal with, big, hairy, problems to be solved, how to make progress, all of those things. So just not relationships and collaboration, but how do I have a relationship and collaborate in the midst of all these big things? Okay. That is who I am. And today I want to talk about what I believe is the future of leadership, or not even the future, but it's now. It's right now. It's the thing that we need to be focusing on. And it's not just people leadership. It's not the big L leader. It's not the big L leader. It's not just operational leadership, but it is systems led leadership. And it's the kind that can see the whole board, not just the next move, but you're literally watching everything, right? We think of this as like the balcony and the dance floor. You've probably heard that in some capacity in your job. And so, you get to see the balcony and dance floor. What people don't always talk about is the staircase or the elevator to get from one place to the other. And that's a bunch of goodness too, and a bunch of data that can be, taken from that. But that's the type of leadership that we should be really fostering across our organizations. So I want to talk about that today. Please share this live with other people in your network, people who may be watching, people who may come on later. Please share this live because systems thinking is typically one of the critical skills on all job descriptions, on all resumes. And to be successful in your career, you should be a systems thinker. Full stop. You should be a systems thinker. Okay. That is what we've been talking about for the last 28 days, is how to lead within a system and how to be a systems thinker overall. Okay. Leadership is not going to be the people with the loudest voices. There's not going to be the ones that's loud and proud and just saying things. They're going to be the good leaders are going to be able to think in patterns. They're going to be able to sense like different things that are happening or shifts that's coming. And they are going to literally be able to keep their head on a swivel because they're always watching. They're always paying attention. They're always alert. Okay. They're not just reacting, but they're designing the system. They're literally like, it's not about control, but they're literally like having their hands on what's happening in order to kind of mold it and shape the systems that they are in. So today on day 26, I'm going to be talking about how systems leaders think. And in that, I'm going to talk about what it means to lead as a systems thinker, why systems leadership is the next evolution of great leadership, because it is, and it's not just the next, it's right now, and how to strengthen your ability to see, sense, and to navigate or steer within the complex systems. Okay, so let's start here. Most leadership, I know based on different organizations. I've worked in biotech, I've worked in government, I've worked in education, very established, and I've worked in retail also, but retail is a little bit more flexible, but government, biotech, education is very much almost rigid systems, and they still kind of operate on this command and control leadership. They are built on the belief that if you just manage things hard enough, which means that you have more oversight, more check-ins, more pressure. Like they're not going to say pressure. They're not going to say, they might actually say more check-ins. They think that will be the way to make sure that performance is gold standard and that everything is happening. But that's an old operating system. That is a red type of system, right? I talked about this when I talked about Frederick Laloux's book, Reinventing Organizations, and I talked about how red and orange organizations are really a lot of command and control in there, but we can't afford to really be command and control organizations because in today's world, things are moving too fast, right? When things are moving too fast, that type of model will not hold up because it's a lot of oversight and rechecking things and a bunch of approvals. And if you're moving quickly, there's no time for that command and control leadership. But systems-led leadership is different. Okay. It's not about commanding people. It's about designing the conditions that people can actually thrive and operate in. It's about seeing the different web of relationships. So if you think about a spider web, and y'all, I hate spiders and I've been seeing them a lot lately. But if you think about a web and you see all this, or think of like a network, kind of like the networks from like technology and computers and stuff, and you see all these lines and everywhere and everything is connected. Think about your system in that way, where there's a web, there's like different connections of relationships, there's different decision-making connections, there's different dynamics that make your organization either work or it will not work. Okay. It's less in these type of organizations about who messed up or who did something wrong, but it's more as like, what's the pattern that I'm seeing here and what is being reinforced in this system or what is not being reinforced, right? That's what we're looking at in systems thinking. This is the difference between checkers and playing chess. Checkers, you're just reacting, but chess, you are always having to anticipate what's going to happen next. Systems leadership is chess with humans. It's chess with people. It's like we are literal chess pieces and the board is our system. And we have to do different things. We have to see patterns. We have to operate and navigate. We have to know how to do it, right? It's knowing that every move affects something else. It's a domino impact. Like when you press the domino and they all come tumbling down, it's that type of like connection, right? It's the ripple effect. We know that if we hit one thing when it comes to trust, it's going to hit other things. When we know that if we're touching on equity, it's going to touch on other things. It's knowing what's the impact. I talked about impact yesterday. What's the impact of doing this one thing on everything else in the system? That is what you're doing as a leader. So as a leader, being a systems thinker leader, you are trying to see the moves and anticipate what's going to happen before the ripple effects happen. That's what I mean by keeping your head on the swivel. Now, for those that don't know, for those that don't actually know what that actually means, of course, it's a slang. It's one of those things that I've gotten from my kids and they've told me what it means. But it's literally like I'm keeping my head moving. I'm looking, I'm paying attention. Think of sports, right? If I didn't pay attention to what was happening around me, how would I win? It's the same thing in our organizations, in our corporate workplaces, in our educational schools workplaces, anywhere. It is the same way. You have to be able to scan. You have to be able to see both the micro things, like what's happening right now, and the macro things about how this fits into the larger system. So, systems led leadership is both a mindset and a practice because, of course, there's some new ways of thinking that you have to, kind of take in if you are no longer about that command and control life. So, there's a new mindset that comes with that. And it's how you think and how you move. So, we're looking at both. Okay. So, here's what this looks like. First of all, we go from managing people to managing kind of the flow, kind of the energy. We're doing that. We're going from managing people to like, how do we manage the flow of things, the energetic things that are happening, right? Systems led leaders don't see their job as keeping people in line. That's not what they see. They see it as keeping the waters calm enough for people to actually be able to move forward together. They don't control the system. They are sensing what's happening, right? And they are blocking what's about to happen so that their people can move kind of seamlessly through it at any time. They keep a pulse on what the operating system or the operating rhythm is. And when the team's energy is high, or when burnout is creeping, or when momentum needs to slow up or speed up, they are right there to take care of it. They literally manage the flow. So, how is our flow in meetings? How is our flow with projects? How is our flow with relationships? How are we flowing? Not just performing, not just having a whole bunch of stuff on our calendars and all of these things and showing up and having our face be seen and taking those wonderful pictures for LinkedIn, right? It's like how is what I'm doing actually making an impact? If we're only thinking about ourselves, there's no flow. The buck stops with you, right? It's leadership as like regulating, not controlling. So we're going to regulate, when the waters are calm, people move faster, but when they're like bumpy, it takes a little longer, right? Have you guys ever did like rip roaring rapids. Is that how you say it? Somebody correct me in the chat if that's not how you say it. Let me know. But there's a lot of people who have did that kind of thing, and I've never done it. Y'all, I can't even swim, so I'm definitely not getting those type of waters. But there are people who have done that before, and it takes longer, it takes more strength, you get burned out faster, you're exerting so much energy to get through that. But when it's calm, it's like we just go through it. We're fine, right? We're not afraid. We're like, oh, this is calm. This is wonderful, right? And we move through it. And so that's what happens. That's the first thing is moving from managing people to moving to managing flow, managing the energy. The second thing is you want to go from solving problems to seeing patterns. If there was ever a approach or a mindset shift that you can take, it is instead of saying I'm going to solve a big hairy problem, I am going to actually look at the patterns of what's happening here and provide some solutions for it. Because typically, when we say a problem needs to be solved, the first thing we go to is what is wrong, right? And we're trying to look at that wrong thing and we're trying to like fix it, fix the wrong thing. And that stops us from going deeper than where we want to go, right? And so rather than seeing the solving the problem, let's reframe that to I need to see the pattern. I need to see what's going, what's moving, and what patterns are here right now, because that will better help me actually create a solution and solve the problem in the right way. Funny how that is, right? So every recurrent issue, whether it's turnover, conflict, communication, breakdowns, all of these things are feedback that you get into the system, right? And so a systems leader will zoom out and they'll ask, what's the pattern trying to tell me? If you see a bunch of like things happening where there's a lot of like turnover, instead of trying to figure out like, okay, we're just gonna like make sure that we don't, lose anybody else, right? And we're just going to make sure we give them another bonus, or we're going to get, ask them what they need, what else you need from us, and move from that to like, okay, what's happening in our system in the first place that's causing the turnover? What's the pattern I'm seeing between all the different people? This is why it's so important for exit interviews and to really be checking in with your people all the time and constantly, not just when they're exiting, because then you start to see a pattern and you can fix it right away. You can fix it faster and be proactive. And so that's feedback that you get that you're looking for when you're trying to see the patterns, right? You fix the root, not the symptom. We fix why you have a gash in your knee. Remember, y'all remember when y'all was little girls, like this for the girls, and you used to fall and used to mess up your knee. And that used to be the worst thing, like scratching up your knee. It was the worst, right? And then somebody would put like maybe a band-aid over it. And that really didn't like solve the problem, because actually like you had a gash in your knee. It covered it up, but it didn't really fix it. That's what we do in our organizations. We do the same thing, right? And so we have to look at the root of the problem, not just the symptom. You, as a systems thinker, you're thinking about what keeps repeating, because what repeats reveals where the system needs some repair or we need to redesign and we need to do something differently. The third thing is that you need to move from control to connection. Right? Traditional leaders, they are going to use control to maintain order by any means necessary. They're like, I'm just going to put them in line, right? But systems-led leaders use connection, create a relationship, right? I'm not going to hold power as a leader. I'm going to distribute it, because if I can distribute it, more people will like me. My people will want to work for me. My people will want to be here at this job, because I'm distributing. I'm giving them some level of like power, right? You're not going to hoard information. You're going to circulate it. You're going to move it. You're going to make sure that it's transparent. People are going to know. Connection is literally what keeps systems going. And it keeps them thriving. It keeps people wanting to stay and really reach the goals that you have. But control, y'all, control is too rigid, right? It's not the right thing to do. Okay. Sorry, my daughter in Atlanta just called me, so I just want to tell her I'm on a live. I can't talk to you right now. Hopefully she's okay. I'm sure she is. All right. So the fourth thing is that we have to learn how to play chess a little bit. We got to learn how to play chess. So before reacting to any type of situation, systems thinkers will look at what's the three moves ahead. What are the three things we need to do, right? And so they'll start to ask, if I intervene here, what ripple will that create elsewhere? They are thinking in cause and effect, always scanning for how a decision in one area will impact other areas. So this is what it means to play chess instead of checkers. You lead from a place of strategy, not urgency, right? When you're playing checkers, you're just like, okay, let's hurry up and go, let's hurry up and go. But when you watch people play chess, it seems like it's a forever, forever game, right? You're like, what the heck are they doing? I have no idea what they're doing, right? Y'all, one of my favorite shows is Big Brother. Any other Big Brother fans out there? Like, I got into it probably in 2022. And I remember when I discovered it and really watched it, and I called my mom and I was like, Mommy, like, oh my God, like, have you watched this show called Big Brother? She's like, girl, you late, right? Now, my mom, bless her heart, bless her soul, she's in heaven now. But I remember when every time she was the queen of, like, she knew everything that was on TV, right? So duh, like, of course she was gonna know about Big Brother. But Big Brother is such a strategic game, and I always tell myself that I could probably play that game and be very good at that game, but I don't know if I could be in a house with all them people and being watched by cameras all freaking day. So that's a whole other thing. However, if you watch Big Brother, you literally have to, as a player, as a participant, have to be thinking 2 3 steps ahead. You have to be figuring out who's in alliances with each other. What could be the next game? How do we ensure that we're prepared for the next game? What can I do if I eliminate this person and vote for them? What will happen? What's the chess move? What's the impact of that, right? You literally have to do that. And I would always watch the behind the scenes, because I was like a fanatic in that way. And so I would log on to Pluto TV and I would watch all night. You can ask my family. Like, I'm on Pluto TV, like, oh, let me see what they're talking about behind the scenes, because not everything is aired on TV. And they were always playing chess. And it was just such a good connection of, like, as a systems thinker, you have to be thinking about the entire system and really playing a game like you're playing Big Brother. Like, full stop. That's what you have to do. Okay. And then the last thing is build the different rhythms, the different operating elements that you need, so that you are able to sense, so that you are able to reflect. Okay. The best systems led leaders design for reflection into their operating rhythm. I talked about this over and over again. I talked about it in the sense of retrospectives. You need to do these all the time. You shouldn't just be meeting the update to get updates. We're not doing that. That could be an email. I want you to meet to actually listen to what the system is telling you and what is it trying to communicate. And you're going to have to look for this, right? I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but areas that you can look for it is decision making. You could look at trust, like where's the trust at? You could look at this with, like, who has the voices, who gets to speak, whose opinions get heard, who gets called to be a participant in different things, who gets the different opportunities. Like, look at these, like, big bucket of things that you could think of all about your career, and that's where you can find out what patterns there are, right? And you can ask yourself, what are we noticing? What's shifting? What needs to be different? What needs to change? What can we do differently next time? Because systems don't just need direction, they need sensing. They need sensing. And that's how leaders start to build foresight, and how you get to see, like, okay, I know what's coming because you've been paying attention to the system and the patterns that it's telling you. Okay. So systems thinking can sound very mechanical, like it's just frameworks and it's flowcharts. Like, most people are like, okay, here we go with systems thinking again. Where's the chart? How do I do this? Right. But the truth is that systems thinking is really human led. It's really about the people because systems are made of people. When you understand systems, you start leading more people and you lead them with a more compassionate, you give them some more grace, and you become more understanding because then when they say like giving feedback, don't make it about the person, make it about what happened. If you are a systems thinker, that's easy because you can directly point to what's the system error in order that has caused the behavior from this employee. And it's easy in that way, okay? So when you understand systems, you start to lead differently. You don't blame and shame people in the system. You look at the system, you look at the patterns, you start seeing invisible things that shape the behavior. And you learn that every action is feedback about the system. It's not about the other person's worth at all. Systems leadership is what allows you to hold people accountable and at the same time hold the space for them. You hold the space for them because now it's not about the person, it's about this system. And wow, what a gift that is. If we knew, right? If we look at our government right now, and I'm going to keep using government when I talk about system because it's the most clearest way to look at systems. But if we look at our government right now, if we had the ability to look at the core of why things are the way they are, it's because our system isn't designed to be equitable, to be fair. It's not designed. But if you look at the person and the people who making those decisions, you can say to yourself, there's a pattern of behavior here. And I always say this, somebody didn't get loved, somebody got bullied, somebody has not been heard, and they're acting out. That's what I see. And so that's a good way to really look at and not make it about the person, but what has caused that behavior in the system. Okay. That's what the next generation of leadership actually requires. Okay. So here's my reflection questions for you as you think about this and you try to grow in this skill of systems thinking. The questions: where am I reacting instead of anticipating? What patterns is my system trying to show me? And how can I use my power to create more flow and create more trust? Okay. It's not about having all the answers as a leader. You don't have to at all. It's about creating conditions where answers can come in your face, where they can appear, and where the system can thrive. Okay. The future of work doesn't belong to the loudest or the busiest, it will belong to leaders who can see the entire chessboard. Okay. Systems leaders are not chasing control. They are chasing an ability to see clearer and to be able to know exactly what's happening. They do not play checkers, they are playing chess. Okay. So, this is how we can become systems leaders. This is how we think as a system. Okay. So, that's all I have for you. I do have to go to a board meeting, so I need to hop off. But before I leave, I want to remind you, please, before I log off, please go ahead and register for my masterclass. It's happening next Wednesday. I am going to touch on some systems led thinking, right? Because guess what? The pattern, the things that are happening right now, we need to be documenting because there's a pattern here. There's a pattern here. And if we are systemically thinking, we're going to know how to move and how to operate. I posted on LinkedIn today one of those things that we need to actually do and we need to be capable in is that when we're seeing patterns, we need to understand how we shape our own kind of career portfolio in order to navigate through that, right? And I gave 5 things on what you need to include in your portfolio because that helps you to actually move forward in a clear way. Okay. So tomorrow, so go ahead and first, whichever side you're on, LinkedIn, Instagram, go ahead and register for the masterclass. It's happening next Wednesday. I can't promise there's going to be a replay, So I'm going to let you know that right now. But here it is. If you show up and you're there while I am doing this, you are going to be eligible for some goodies, some free coaching, some free audits of your system. And then also, I am working on something in the background that I will announce during the live that you will have access to if you are there. Okay. So tomorrow I'll see you day 29. We are 2 days to go on this journey of systems thinking and how to operate in our systems. And I'm going to talk more about repair and how healthy systems actually handle change. How do we handle change? And this is going to be a preview into my masterclass for sure. All right. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.